All right, so let's go right into the news. It is the news, everybody. Oh my God, it's November 7th, 2017. Man, how time flies. The news features a story we don't like to cover, but we have to, about roadside impairment testing by the Michigan State Police. This particular article I'm going to read sections from comes from a friend of ours, Brad Devereaux from mlive.com. He writes, police from a dozen agencies will use handheld devices to test drivers' saliva for use of several drugs under a pilot program in 5 Michigan counties. The police announced Thursday, November 2nd, it'll carry out a 1-year roadside drug testing pilot program in Berrien, Delta, Kent, St. Clair, and Washtenaw counties, beginning on November 8th. They're calling the new test the Alere DDS-2 oral fluid test, and it'll be used to measure for the presence of drugs in drivers' saliva. The device will record results based on threshold limits set by the manufacturer. It tests for 6 substances: amphetamines, benzodiazepines, marijuana, cannabis, cocaine, methamphetamine, and opiates. Banner said it should be noted that threshold levels for saliva are different than that for blood. The drug test will take place roadside like the alcohol preliminary breath test. But if you refuse the oral fluid swab test, it will result in a civil infraction, just like an alcohol PBT. Also, the tests are administered by drug recognition experts, and if you refuse a test from them, they can order your blood through a warrant anyway. What's a good way to make money in cannabis? We talked about a lot of things. How about if you sell your cannabis garden for $2 million? Would that be a good thing? I think so. Our friend...
Make me an offer.
Our friend
I know that's right.
Dave Overholt from Sheridan, Michigan, is doing just that. An article by Jim Harger from MLive titled, Michigan Man Selling Marijuana Farm with an Asking Price of $2 million. As Michigan appears ready to expand the medical marijuana industry and possibly legalize recreational marijuana use, Overholt has put up his 82-acre farm for $2 million, far more than the $2,000 to $3,000 per acre most farmers are getting for their land. But Overholt, who's championed compassion clubs, has no ordinary farm at Derby Road outside of Sydney. Behind the 2-story frame house that's set far back from the road, there's a wire-enclosed outdoor garden, including 8 32 by 32-foot rooms designed to grow medical marijuana under optimal growing conditions. He has leased each room for $10,000 a year to persons who are licensed to grow medical marijuana under the law approved by voters in 2008, says Mr. Overholt. I hope Dave is able to find a buyer for his property.
Man.
I wish nothing but good things for that guy.
The township hasn't opted in, right?
I'm not sure whether they have or not.
I don't think it has. That he actually lives where where Fred Meyer was born, the founder of Meyer Thrifty Acres.
That is kind of cute. Yep. How about 7 homes that were seized in Saginaw being sold at forfeiture auction? You remember the St. Patrick's Day bust, right? They busted 17 people from 4 states in the city of Saginaw creating cannabis in little homes and shipping it all over the United States.
Wow.
The forfeiture haul for the 7 houses totals $190,000 worth of assessed property value. That's not a whole lot for 7 homes, dude. Those are some tiny homes. The St. Patrick's Day raids March 17th on 8 Saginaw County homes yielded only 285 marijuana plants, 172 pounds of cannabis, 18 pounds of shake. I love how they define shake. 59 marijuana stalks with roots, and numerous grow operation items. Well, they sold and forfeited that. Most of those people that busted there did not speak English. I recall this story very well. One of the homes on Butler Road in Buena Vista Township is worth about $21,000. Another one in Bridgeport worth about $30,000. And another in Bridgeport Township worth about $28,000. These are all low-rent homes that were used as cannabis gardens, now sold to other people who will probably neglect them anyway.
Or use them as cannabis gardens.
Or use them as cannabis gardens once again. You know, it is election day. Let's wrap up our news segment here with some talk about elections, both national and local. Start local because, damn, I love Detroit. Voters in Wayne County today decide the fate of Proposal A and Proposal B, both of which would amend the current medical marijuana laws in the city. Proposal A changes the Detroit City Code to require a dispensary to be 500 feet at least from another dispensary and a church, down from the current requirement of 1,000 feet. It would also allow distribution centers near alcohol retailers. Why not? Child care centers, not a problem. Arcades and parks. Do we even have arcades anymore? Under Proposal A, dispensaries would be allowed to stay open until 9 p.m., extending the current required closing time by 1 hour. Proposal B, a companion proposal, would allow growers and secure transporters to establish and operate within Detroit's industrial districts and business districts. Now, another city proposal from across the state, Athens, Ohio. Athens cannabis ordinance would reduce penalties for cannabis misdemeanors to a fine of $0, effectively depenalizing low-level cannabis possession, cultivation, and gifting. Misdemeanors affected would include possession of up to 200 grams of marijuana and up to 10 grams of hash. Why are they discriminating against hash? That's so mean. Cultivation of up to 200 grams of marijuana, gifts of up to 20 grams of marijuana, and possession and sale of paraphernalia. There are some gubernatorial races, too, that are important. New Jersey governor. New Jersey's gubernatorial race will pick a replacement for current Republican Governor Chris Embarrassment. Who
can't do much better than
Chris
Christie. He's probably going to get a job in the Trump administration anyway. He'll be chief backwasher and crack runner.
I think he's most hated by the Trumps.
Oh, he's horrible. And now, Christie, as we all know, has lashed out against both medical and adult-use cannabis legalization, most recently in a report to the Trump administration ordered by the Sessions Attorney General's Department. From a cannabis perspective, the stakes couldn't be higher. Either candidate would likely be an improvement over Christie, but the Democrat, Phil Murray, who currently leads the race, wants to legalize cannabis for adult use. Go Jersey! His opponent, Republican Kim Guadagno, currently Christie's lieutenant governor, does not. She is
Guano.
That could be one pronunciation of her name, not a very favorable one. I'm probably screwed it up anyway. She says she's, quote, wholly opposed to legalizing marijuana, end quote, although she's indicated support for limited decriminalization. Whatever.
Holy guano.
Blah. Virginia governor. We think about Virginia, and a lot of people don't pay attention to it, but it's really close to D.C., baby. It is really right there, and it has a lot of effect on the people inside the Beltway. Currently holding a narrow lead in the polls is the Democratic nominee Ralph Northam, the state's lieutenant governor, who says he supports medical marijuana and would make a push for decriminalizing cannabis if he's elected. He called the state's current enforcement and sentencing laws, quote, costly and disproportionately harmful to communities of color, end quote. You go, Ralph. Northam's opponent, Republican Ed Gillespie, is more sluggish about reform. He says he opposes decriminalization because, quote, it sends the wrong signal, end quote, to young people. Yeah, like idiocy doesn't send the wrong signal. But he said he would support a three-strikes approach that would remove criminal charges for the first and second offenses. But he said to a crowd in Richmond and Virginia in September, quote, you really should know better, quote. And on medical use, Gillespie says he supports limited, tightly regulated use of cannabis for certain medical conditions. That's not really much of a support nowadays. Statewide measures. Voters in New York have a chance to vote on a constitutional convention. Now, that doesn't normally translate directly to cannabis, but the Constitutional Convention could open the door for statewide legalization of adult-use cannabis via a change to the state's constitution. Although that's not a guarantee, it is a possibility, and New York would be one of the first states in the nation to do that way. Folks, that is the cannabis news today. It is November 7th, 2017.
It is.
Thank you for listening.